How's it going, everyone? Happy Friday. Nick Marro here with Smitty, helping you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slates on both DraftKings and FanDuel. As always, here with Occupy Fantasy. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Check out the links in the description below to get premium. We got a nice group already in here waiting. Obviously, big Friday night slate tonight, Smitty. I think 9 games total, 8 over on DK. NBA Cup as well, lots to like. What are your first initial takes here as you're looking over everything?
Yeah, I always enjoy the cup slates. I feel like even in wide spreads, you kind of worry less about blowouts, so it's pretty fun. We got some good pay ups and not the greatest value, but it's possible we could get some open up later.
Yep, for sure. We got a lot of games to get to, guys. Can't shout out everyone individually, but we got Groovy, Ben, HB, David, Casey in here. Heath, appreciate you all. And then Diabate or Cornet. Yeah, we'll get to all of this stuff, guys. As always, we're going to go game by game. So if you have questions about a specific player or game, try to line it up while we're talking about that game. Obviously, we'll still do our best to get to everyone regardless. But we are going to start here in the 7 o'clock window with my beloved Brooklyn Nets taking on the Orlando Magic in Orlando. 224.5 point total here. I think 13 and a half, 14 point spread. On the Nets side of things, Ben Surratt's out. He's down with the G League. Cam Thomas going to be out for a while. No Danny Wolf or Nolan Traore. Dayron Sharp's back tonight, though. I do think that's somewhat significant. Smitty, we'll talk a lot about the Orlando Magic, I imagine, but I'll start with you on the Nets before I give my hot takes, but go ahead and kind of break this team down for us.
Yeah, it's hard because we want to play a lot of Magic in this game, but the Nets are just kind of tough to get to. MPJ is kind of priced up where he should be on DraftKings. FanDuel, you could argue, is a little more playable. And then the rest of this team's pretty tough to get to. They've priced Claxton up now too. Now that his minutes have kind of rose, I'm okay getting to Claxton in tournaments. The rest of the team don't really interest me. It's mainly just Claxton or MPJ.
Yes, I'm with you. I do think Claxton's fine. MPJ, if this game stays relatively close, I think they both have upside here. Obviously, with it being the NBA Cup, we're a little bit less concerned about blowout. I will say this: now that Dayron Sharp is back, it's going to cut into Clowney's upside. Clowney can still get hot from three, but the reason he was hitting those ceilings was mostly because he was playing some backup five. Igor Demon, the rookie, starting at point guard, I have some interest in. If you're playing a ton of Orlando, I don't think he's a bad bring back. I think he's one of these hybrid type players too, where even if the game's close or if it's a blowout, he's probably still going to play his 26 to 28 minutes. So Igor to me, really working on his shot. He seems to be rounding out his game a lot more aggressive. I actually tried to posterize Jakob Poeltl the other night, which was pretty hilarious. I like this kid. I'm a fan. I think he's too cheap. Do I trust him entirely? No. But there haven't been many spots where I'm recommending Nets this year, so maybe that says something. Drake Powell, another really talented rookie. Again, we have so many games tonight. I probably shouldn't even be talking about these kids. But Powell's another one I've been keeping an eye on. As his minutes continue to climb, I do think he's viable as a punt. I do want to say Terrence Mann, when he's not playing the point, he is not nearly as good for fantasy production, kind of similar to what we're dealing with Clowney. The minutes will be the same for him, but next to Igor, he's just not doing the same stuff. So, not a ton of love for the Nets here. I guess Claxton Porter, maybe a little bit of Igor. But the really interesting team in this spot, obviously a great matchup here, are the Orlando Magic, mostly because, well, they're playing the Nets for one. For two, Paulo Banchero is going to be out for a while. Also, no Mo Wagner or Orlando Robinson. Jalen Suggs has seen his minutes cap lifted. We have him at 28 tonight. He looks pretty good. Franz Wagner, tremendous play here. Obviously, a bit pricier on DK, but I still think he's appealing there, just 20% owned. Desmond Bain as well. With Paulo out, we should see him shooting more like he did back when he was with Memphis. Those three are very, very strong plays here on both sides, in my opinion. You can mix in Carter. Don't mind Black. The one value guy I'm pretty interested in, and I want your take on this as well. Is it going to be the starter Isaac, assuming Isaac starts? I think Tristan Da Silva off the bench, if no one wants to play him, is pretty interesting to me. I think he could see a big bump in usage here with no Paulo, and he's another one of these guys, even if the game blows out, could end up playing the fourth quarter. So Isaac probably going to get the start, but historically he's been capped around 20 minutes. Love the quote unquote big three of Suggs, Wagner, Bain. But Smitty, go ahead and break down Orlando for us.
Yeah, I like all three of them too. Suggs is just probably $1,000 too cheap for the minutes and role that he's going to have. Bain has a big ceiling in this matchup specifically, and He can reach it easier than Franz can just because of pricing. I like both players. I'll take shots. It's likely that one of the Orlando players is in the winning lineup, whether it be Suggs, Bain, or Franz. And then you're also going to see a little bit more usage for Wendell Carter. It's tough because he's a center, but I don't mind getting there. And then you mentioned De Silva and Jonathan Isaac. Whoever starts there, I have interest in either one of them either way. Well, Isaac would have to start for me, I think, for me to have interest. But if De Silva comes off the bench, I'd still be fine getting there. If he starts, probably even better. So I don't mind De Silva. And specifically on FanDuel, I think he looks even better. And he kind of scores well for FanDuel. So I don't mind getting to Isaac or De Silva for like large field.
Yeah, my concern with Isaac just as a starter is he going to get enough minutes to really be what you need here? But to your point, I almost missed that De Silva was priced up on DK. Definitely like him way more over on FanDuel. Enough about that game though. Let's move into Miami here, taking on the New York Knicks. Miami Heat are on the road here, slight underdogs or moderate underdogs, 240 and a half point total, which is kind of surprising. Two teams kind of known to have decent defense, but they're missing some key pieces. Starting on the Miami side of things, no Bam Adebayo, no Tyler Hero. Norm Powell is available. Obviously, no Terry Rozier. Nothing else really we need to talk about as far as injury goes. But the two top usage players for this team are usually going to be Hero and Bam. They're both out tonight. They've been out for a little bit, though, so we kind of know what to expect. Wiggins has had some big games. I'm a little bit surprised he's not more popular. I know it's not the best matchup, but if he's only 5% on DK, 10 on FanDuel, I do like getting to him. Norm Powell is going to be taking a ton of shots. He's scoring dependent. Don't mind mixing him in here as well. Those are the two that stand out to me. There was this funny clip Davion Mitchell said. He actually thinks the Knicks matchup is a lot harder with Brunson out of the lineup because he says McBride is a better defender, which was pretty funny. But I don't mind getting to a little bit of Davion. But Smitty, how you feeling about the Heat here with some key pieces not available?
Yeah, this is a pretty good game for the Cup. Good total. And we have injuries on both sides, so it makes it pretty appealing. As for the Heat, they've kind of been priced appropriately. I don't mind taking shots on any of them. Davion is probably the most likely to put up a winning score just because of his price. But then Khalil Ware, he's tough to project because of his minutes range is pretty wide with Spo. But they're kind of going to need him. They'll either have Mitrov or Cat out there most of the time. So I kind of think Ware as a GPP play makes some sense. FanDuel, he's kind of priced up, so it's tough to get there. But on DraftKings, I at least think he's playable.
Yeah, I like the Ware call. He's coming off two huge games. No ownership on him right now, so I don't mind it. One other player I didn't mention, the model doesn't like him very much today, but Jaime Jaquez off the bench has been really solid in competitive games. So Miami, pretty good team here. Tough to say there's one play that stands out among the others. Maybe we'll get one from the Knicks here, though, with Jalen Brunson out and unavailable. That is the only significant injury on the injury report today. So more usage for Cat always goes a long way. Next to Mitch Robb, his rebounding does go down a little bit, but I don't think it matters necessarily here. I like him a lot. Obviously, this matchup is a lot better with no Bam Adebayo and that front court playing defense. Miles McBride expected to start at point guard here. I know I picked him up in season long under this expectation here, filling in for Jalen Brunson. He looks good as guard value. Obviously, cheaper than a couple guys we already talked about in Suggs and Mitchell. I think he's fine. Don't know that he has a crazy ceiling. I don't know that they're going to give him like more than 30 minutes, but regardless, definitely appealing here. Definitely a boost for him with no Brunson. OG and where is it? Bridges both look decent. I'm kind of curious in your take on Josh Hart. I don't think we're going to see him start, but he did play 30 minutes a couple nights ago. I guess there's a world where maybe he does start to see extended minutes here. We have him for 26. To me, that feels a little low if this game is close, especially with no Brunson. But curious your take on Josh Hart and go ahead and break down the rest of the Knicks for us.
Yeah, I think with Josh Hart, Brunson being out could affect his minutes. Like, yeah, you'll probably see a couple more. But also when he's out there, what he's going to be doing is probably a little more handling the ball. So I do think he's a pretty interesting tournament play today. And he's priced well, has good positional eligibility. So I think he's a good tournament play in this game. And then I like all the Knicks. You're likely going to see an extra minute or two for most of them because their bench is pretty weak. So you have Towns that's going to play the five whenever Mitch isn't out there, probably. And then OG and Bridges, I like both of them. I think they're both good plays. As for like the rest, it's kind of tough. Like McBride might start, he might not. with Mike Brown, he's kind of weird about that stuff, and he don't really like Miles McBride, so I'm kind of worried about that. But and then Clarkson probably gets a few more minutes. Kind of hard to play at his price, but he's at least worth a mention. Other than that, I think Miles McBride's fine. I'd prefer other value plays, but I think he's fine to go to.
Yeah, if he comes off the bench, I don't think we even see a real boost for him, but I do expect him to start. It's just kind of tough for them to put Shamit in there at the one, I think. But we got to wait and see. The good news is that is one of the 7 o'clock games. We will have that lineup pretty soon. Moving now into the 7:30 Eastern window, we have the 76ers taking on the Pistons. 228 and a half point total. Pistons slight favorites right now, but Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, arguably their two best players, are both questionable. Certainly need to keep an eye on that. No Tobias Harris or Jaden Ivey or Marcus Sasser. And Isaiah Stewart and Oscar Thompson are both listed, or Oscar's out. Isaiah Stewart listed as questionable. Sounds like he will be back tonight, though. So if he's starting, maybe provide some decent value as a power forward, drawing a ton of ownership first game back, which is a little bit surprising to me. I think Kate plays here. I'd be surprised if he sat. Can say the same for Jalen Duren, but Stewart's going to see a big boost if Duren is out, playing the 5 more than the 4. And we had Dennis Jenkins going off in the absence of Cade for 2 games over 45 fantasy points. Obviously, if Cade's out, he becomes a very appealing value play. I would be getting to him over someone like a Miles McBride. But yeah, I think most of these guys are in tonight. Again, it is the NBA Cup. I think they care enough to maybe lean in that direction. We should have this news soon. But yeah, I like Cade. I just think if this team is healthy, it's tough for me to call anything a priority. I don't mind Stewart, but he feels a little bit overowned first game back from injury, Smitty. Let me know how you're feeling about Detroit.
Yeah, pretty similar in terms of the high end. I wouldn't call any of them a priority. I think they're decent plays. Cade's kind of priced up now. Duran's been good. We don't know if he's playing either. But if we see like Duran out, then I think Stewart looks better if he plays. But there's just so much that could go on here. I think if Duran and Stewart are in, Stewart's fine to get to, but I wouldn't say he's like a priority on the slate. So makes it kind of tough without knowing the injuries, like what we're going to see. But assuming everyone's healthy, I think Stewart's probably the best play here. But after that, they're just kind of fine.
Yeah, and it is interesting too. Like if Duren's out, I guess there is a world where we see Paul Reed starting next to Stewart again. He had a ridiculous game the other day in the absence of Duren. So just keep an eye on that news. Keep an eye on that lineup. We should have it soon. We'll obviously talk about it if it breaks while we're still on stream. Over on the Philadelphia side of things, VJ Edgecombe, the rookie, is questionable. No Paul George, Joel Embiid, or Jared McCain. Andre Drummond probably going to get the start at center here again. Kind of a revenge narrative for him. Spent a lot of his career in Detroit, coming off 2 really solid games too. And for whatever reason, the sites didn't move his price up enough, in my opinion. I like him a lot here. He rates as the best value play on both sites for these Philadelphia 76ers. Yeah, I mean it's 2025, and I'm excited to play Andre Drummond. It's kind of gross, but I do like him here a lot. Maxi has continued to put up solid numbers. He's a bit expensive. Can't call him a priority, but if he's going to be low, I'm fine mixing him in. And then I'm fine with Oubre and Grimes, but I will say if Edgecombe is out, I'm going to be wanting to get to them a little bit more. But as things stand, kind of assuming everyone's in who I've said is in, yeah, I like Drummond a lot. Probably going to be a core play for me on both sides, Smitty. How about you?
Yep, I'm pretty similar. One of those good games was against Detroit. That's when they had Duran and Stewart. So I kind of like him more if they're in because they're going to have to play big. Like the Bona like body style isn't really going to go against Duran. So I think if Duran's in, I think it's a big deal for Drummond. Like we probably see his upside in minutes. So either way, I still have interest in Drummond. I think he looks good. Kelly Oubre is another guy with a ceiling in a pretty tight spread that I don't mind getting to. And then, like you said, Edgecombe, if he sits, it's going to make Grimes a lot more appealing. He probably starts, but either way, I think he's pretty good. Watford's a GPP play, and then so is Maxi.
Yeah, Watford's been pretty disappointing since he had that ridiculous game against the Raptors, and that is with a few of these guys out. So tough for me to get there. But yeah, like I said, I do like Drummond a lot. There are a lot of good centers on this slate, though. I'll use that as a segue into this next game. where we have at least one. I mean, we got the Blazers taking on the Rockets. Rockets at home, decent side favorites, but 236.5 point total, pretty respectable in terms of upside here between a team or two teams with good defenses. Honestly, let's see. I got to scroll down for the injury report. On the Portland side of things, we got no Scoot, no Dame, obviously, no Thibault or Blake Wesley, so nothing new really coming out of Detroit. When I checked ownership this morning, I was a little bit surprised to see how popular Drew Holiday was. I do think he's a good play here, and it has come down on DK. But yeah, I mean, should he be 30% owned on a 9 game slate on FanDuel? I'm not sure. I do think he's underpriced there. I do feel pretty good about getting to him. But again, not the best matchup here against a pretty solid Houston defense. Denny, I like a lot. It's just tough to play him over guys like Wagner or who else did we just talk about? There's a lot of Cat, obviously a power forward. There's a lot of good plays in that price range, but that's what's keeping his ownership down. I don't mind mixing him in here, even in a tough matchup. But yeah, man, I like Drew. Maybe not as much as the field on FanDuel. You can make a case for any of these starters or even Grant off the bench, but I don't know. Even with the high total, I'm not rushing to much of Portland. Smitty, how about you?
Yep, pretty much the same. They're all playable. I think Drew looks pretty decent on FanDuel, but I probably won't be with the field on that. I'll be under. There's just a big slate with a lot of high upside options. I don't really find myself like in that price range that much. We'll mention Shaden Sharp at least. I think he's been playing good, so the minutes have been there. He's kind of had his minutes limit lifted, so I don't mind getting to a little bit of Shaden Sharp. Denny, where I can get to, and then Klingon's price has come down. He's at least playable.
Yep, right there with you, man. Still waiting on some news from Detroit. They did just say Cade, Durant, and Stewart are game time decisions. Doesn't really change much, but we should know about that soon. On the Houston side of this game, we got Dorian Finney-Smith out. Obviously, Fred VanVleet still out. Nothing else significant. This team's been playing pretty well. Good defense, but again, they're kind of pacier this year than last year, which is offsetting that a little bit. Amon Thompson, viable. I could say the same about Sengun, Durant. They're all about price where they should be. Jabari Smith continues to be a useful piece of value just because power forward's pretty thin in that price range, especially if we don't have Stewart to go to. He's going to look pretty good here. But yeah, man, I mean, I like KD. I think at 8K, he's pretty appealing. You can make a case for Sengun. It's just there's so many good value centers on the slate. Is there anything from Houston you're prioritizing? Seems like the field isn't getting to them all that aggressively.
Yeah, it's tough because we expect this game to be pretty good, pretty tight game, and Portland plays fast, so they're going to force Houston to play a little faster. Amon Thompson's probably my favorite just because of that. He kind of fits the style of this game, but like given their prices, it's kind of tough. Tari Eason, I think you can make a case for is at least playable off the bench, and then Jabari, he's priced pretty well. Not the best matchup ever, but I don't mind getting to like Jabari or Eason as kind of valued plays.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Let me add Reed Shepard into that mix as well, just because he's on fire right now. I don't know if this is sustainable, but he's hit four threes in three straight games, making a ton of shots, taking 10 plus shots in three straight games as well. So he's seen his usage tick up a little bit, gaining some confidence with this team. But those scores do feel like outliers, not just because he's making his shots, but he had two steals and a block last game, four steals and a block the game prior. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be, especially against a team like Portland, but maybe in the pace he could fall into a few more. So if you need the value, you can mix him in. But again, Houston, just another team that's pretty healthy. Everyone about price where they should be, but that's keeping the ownership down. So they are somewhat interesting here. Another interesting game because we're probably going to see shakeups to this starting lineup. We got the Kings taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves favorite at home, 239.5 point total. I don't have the quote in front of me, but we did get word that they are considering starting. I know Nick Clifford, someone else who I wasn't expecting to see in there. Like they want to shake up the lineup tonight, so keep an eye on things. The projected lineup right now is what we've been seeing: Schroeder, Levine, DeRozan, Precious, Sabonis. But Malik Monk is questionable. Still no Keegan Murray. Sabonis himself is now questionable. I think they're all going to play. But again, keep an eye on the starting lineup. If someone like Nick Clifford starts out of nowhere, he could be useful value. Has guard and forward eligibility on DK, I believe he does on FanDuel as well. But right now, the model doesn't like him very much. We have him for 16 minutes, but I think if he starts, we could see a lot more out of Clifford. That's one guy I'm keeping an eye on. Can't really build with him in until that lineup is confirmed. But again, I mean, you can make a case for the regular starters. I just don't know that I'm going to be doing it, Smitty. Do you like anything from the Kings here?
No. Yeah, he was pissed. He basically said if they're not playing defense from now on, he's just going to pull them right then. So makes it kind of hard to trust anybody. If Clifford does start, though, I do have interest there. He's a guy I like. Uh, Pretty strong. He does a little bit of everything, so I don't mind getting to Clifford if he starts.
Yeah, I think Devin Carter was the other guy who was mentioned. I definitely like Clifford more though of those two, and if we see both of them starting, that means Levine or DeRozan's coming off the bench. It could be pretty interesting. On the Timberwolves side of things, we have DiVincenzo available. He's missed some time. Terrence Shannon is going to be out. They're playing a little bit better right now. Anthony Edwards feels a little bit under-owned. At least when I checked earlier, he was. Yeah, his ownership's climbing a little bit. 8,900 for him over on DK in a great matchup. Definitely have some interest in him. Another team that's mostly healthy. Randall's okay. I do think he's still overpriced though, if I'm being completely honest, especially on FanDuel. Like his price climbed with Edwards out, and it really hasn't dipped as quickly as it should be. Jaden Daniels is kind of useful just because he's in that mid range at forward. But Ant's really the only play I have much interest in here, Smitty. But it is a great matchup. So let me know who you like and who I'm overlooking.
Yeah, I like Ant quite a bit. He pretty much said, I think it was in the offseason, he said against the bad teams, he's just going to chuck. So this is probably one of those spots. We seen it a couple games ago. So I like him quite a bit. I think he's a pretty good play. Gobert, I think he's at least in my pool. He's just kind of appropriately priced, but we could see a pretty good game from him. After that, it's kind of tough. Like you mentioned, McDaniels. He's someone I always leave in my pool. I think he's a pretty good play. And then DiVincenzo is at least worth a mention. If he gets hot from three, he could do it, but that's pretty much what you're relying on. But overall, it's basically just Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I do like the Gobert shot. He has been playing a lot better. Back to back games, over 33 minutes, over 35 fantasy points. One of those games came against these Kings where he was pushing 50 fantasy points. So if no one wants to play him here, I think he's a good option. But again, there are so many good value centers on the slate. Another game we have in now. Wait a second. Are the Lakers not on the injury report? There they are. We didn't talk about the Lakers yet. Okay. Lakers, Pelicans, 227.5 point total. Lakers, excuse me, favorites on the road. LeBron James obviously out. Gabe Vincent out as well. We can start with LA. I mean, Luca's Luca, right? This Pelicans matchup has been about as good of a matchup as any for opposing offenses this season. He looks excellent here if you can afford him. Again, it's just a question of can you afford him. I thought Reeves felt a little bit overpriced now that Luke is back, but he has shown he still has upside. I don't mind getting to him. A little bit surprised. Like I know they're priced differently, but the ownership gap between Luke and Reeves to me is a little bit baffling. Like see near 30% owned Austin Reeves over on DK, 22 on FanDuel, where he's a little bit more expensive, and Luca's a fraction of that. So I know it's not going to be the same lineup construction. It's not a direct pivot, but I want to get over on Luca and under on Reeves. I think that's just a very clear, obvious leverage point if this ownership does hold. Other than that, I mean, you can make a case for Ayton. He's been a little bit better this season. Not much else I really have any interest in, though. Smart could be useful as a pivot off of some of the other value guards, but he's super inconsistent. So it's mostly Luca for me. I do like Reeves. I just think the gap in ownership between the two, even with the price discrepancy, is wrong. So I'm going to get to a lot of Luca here if I can afford him. Smitty, how about you?
Yeah, I like Luca and Reeves quite a bit. I think it's a good matchup, and they pretty much are the Lakers. So one of them has a good chance of getting there. The issue is it's tough because we don't have a lot of cheap value yet. So if we do get more as the night goes on, say Duran and them sit, changes quite a bit. I think we'll be able to get to more Luca, get away from Reeves. But overall, I think they both are pretty good plays.
Yep, right there with you, man. On the other side, we have this Pelicans team. They've been kind of struggling. Obviously, a big part of that is that they have no Zion, no DeJounte Murray, no Jordan Poole. Three of their better players, definitely big usage options when it comes to their offense. Sadiq Bey, I was playing him a lot earlier in the season at low ownership. Coming off a huge game, he's going to be very popular here tonight. I do think he's a viable piece of value. Trey Murphy, probably the most upside on this team. Fine mixing him in. Then we have the rookies in Fears and Queen. Fine mixing them in. I can't sit here and say I'm taking a huge stand on either, but I do think they're pretty solid options. I will say if there was ever a matchup where Alvarado should see more minutes, it's probably this one against Luca and Reeves. I think they want his defense out there over a Fears. again, it's been tough to project these rotations. And Alvarado, I mean, he's cheap, but there are a lot of decent value guards. So I think he's a good shout in like high risk, large field tournaments. Again, I think the matchup does kind of placate to his strengths. But Bay for me looks good, even as chalk. I don't mind Murphy, Fears, or Queen. But again, this team's been so bad night tonight. I don't know that I can trust anything. Smitty, how about you?
Yeah, they're probably one of the worst teams, but Sadiq Bey, assuming he's starting, he's playable. We don't have a lot of cheap value, so he makes sense. Fears is pretty sketchy chalk to me. I don't mind, like, I'm still going to get there, but I do like the Alvarado pivot. It's likely they need more Alvarado in this matchup because Fears isn't going to be guarding Luca. So, well, that'll probably be Herb. But either way, it's still kind of tough. They're going to need his defense out there. So I do think Alvarado is someone you want to mix in if you're playing 150 lineups. Queen, I think his minutes just continue to rise. And if they want to
Mhm.
be competitive, they probably still need to rise. So I think he's a pretty good play, power forward eligibility. I don't mind getting there. It's just kind of a messy situation. You got Misi and you got Looney and you got Makovich. So it's kind of just they're all just tearing each other's upside apart. But I do think Queen is the one we want to play over anybody.
Yeah, I like Queen. Really, really talented kid. I mean, there's a lot of people who are high on him as a rookie. I'm not alone on that, obviously. But yeah, I mean, forward eligibility goes a long way on these bigger slates. We're trying to fit guys like Drummond and some of these other value centers. It's tough to maybe get Queen if he was center only, but with forward eligibility on both sites, it does become a little bit easier. Now moving, okay, the injury report's throwing me off today, guys. Sorry about that. We have one more 8 o'clock game here between the Charlotte Hornets and the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks favorite at home, 238.5 point total. LaMelo Ball should be back tonight, so definitely keep an eye on that. But as Ball returns, they are losing Ryan Kalkbrenner. Brandon Miller's still out as well. KJ Simpson's probable. A few other guys who've been out are still out, like a Grant Williams, but don't really need to talk about him too much. Ball coming back is going to cut into what we've been seeing from Con Canoopel. It's been awesome. Really like that kid, but it's just, I don't know. I think that usage is going to dip, obviously, with Ball on the floor. Colin Sexton probably going to start. I think there are better value guards on this slate. Diabate, though, man, he's going to start at center. They need size here. I think he's one of the better value plays on the slate. Over on DK, where you could play two centers, you can play him with the Drummond. Justifiably 45% owned over there. But as a pivot off Drummond, if you don't want to go to Drum, I do think he's a pretty decent option in tournaments. Diabate, the one Hornet I'm really keying in on. Bridges, Ball, fine, but not really priorities for me, Smitty. Do you like Diabate, and are there any other Hornets catching your eye?
Yeah, I like Diabate quite a bit. They've shown they don't want to play Mason Plumley if they don't have to. They need Diabate size out there, and their rim defense is pretty bad for Milwaukee, even with Giannis. But I like Diabate quite a bit. It's not going to take a whole lot to pay off his price tag, and if he plays like the 28 minutes we have him projected for, he probably smashes his price. Even on FanDuel, where he's only getting 8% ownership, he's like $1,000 more expensive, but I still think he's in play over there.
Yeah, he raises the top DK value play on the slate right now. I think he's top five over on FanDuel as well. So don't sleep on Musa. Over on the Milwaukee side of things, we got Giannis probable. Still no Kevin Porter. Torian Prince just had neck surgery. He's going to be out for a while. Ryan Rollins continues to put up ridiculous numbers. This is a really good matchup for him. Guards have obviously done well against Charlotte. Not going to get any worse with LaMelo returning. I do like Rollins here. I think he's a little bit under-owned on DK, which is where I'm playing mostly. Getting more love over on FanDuel, but he does have shooting guard eligibility over there. Obviously, that's partially the reason for that. Turner's been turning a corner. No pun intended. Don't mind him. Giannis is Giannis. I think if you can afford him here, he is one of the best payups on the slate. I will say, if we're looking at just pure OF index, like in terms of ownership, Luca half as owned as Giannis seems a little bit wrong. Wemby getting zero love at all seems a little bit wrong. So if you are able to get two more stars and scrubs builds, as much as I like Giannis, I do think he's probably a bit overowned comparatively speaking, just to the other absolute studs. But like first stud in, I do think it's easy to build with him because we have a lot of good guard and center value. Smitty, Milwaukee tonight. Do you like Giannis? You think he matched the field? And is there anything else from this team you find yourself keying in on?
Yeah, I like Giannis quite a bit. He's my favorite pay up. I kind of like
Nice.
going to Giannis or Luca in my builds and just kind of skipping like that higher mid range. So I think starting with Luka or Giannis is pretty smart, especially in the cups where we could see their minutes pushed up. I kind of think Giannis's minutes are underprojected. We've seen him play 37 last time. He took a game off. I think if the game's competitive, he probably plays 37 again. He's pretty locked into the cup. He's had like press conferences about it that he's into it.
Yeah,
As for the
yeah.
rest,
Giannis.
yeah,
Oh, I don't mean to cut you off. Just a funny anecdote, real quick. In the bubble, if you remember, he was stealing bottled water. So as rich as he is now, he's a guy who cares about money. So he
yep,
probably cares about the cup more than anyone.
yeah, he does. So I do like him. Cole Anthony's getting some ownership on DraftKings. I think we have him at 13%. He probably comes in even higher if we don't get any other news. I can't really buy into that. I don't really love Cole Anthony. I'd rather get away from that. But if he makes your lineup work, then he does have a ceiling, so it's okay. Everyone else is kind of just fine. I do like the Rollins call. I think he'll be underowned.
Yeah, I like Rollins a lot. I just think we have better guard value than Anthony. But yeah, in the Occupy Slack today, they're posting these long shot props. I think a few of the guys are on Anthony's threes on the over for whatever
Yeah.
reason. So good luck to them. Moving into the 8:30 window for real this time, we have the Clippers taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Clippers are going to be without Kawhi, and Bradley Beal is now out for the season. Maybe the worst contract in basketball. They had to get rid of Norm Powell to make room for him. It's just brutal. Anyway, on the Clippers side of things, obviously Harden looks good with all these guys out. Has to do everything. Not only does he run the point, but he also shoots the ball plenty. Chris Dunn has been a pretty useful piece of value, just inconsistent. Don't mind mixing him in. He's an example of a guard I'd have ranked ahead of Cole Anthony. Zubac, as his minutes continue to climb, I mean, still some inconsistencies, but I do like him. I think I'm fine getting to him here. We've seen John Collins slide into the starting lineup now with no Beal or Kawhi available, but for whatever reason, just hasn't really been producing with this team. So on a smaller slate, or if you're playing the later games, I consider it. But for me, it's really just Harden here, maybe a little bit of Dunn and Zoo. How about you?
Yeah, I like Harden, especially on FanDuel where he's 9K. I wish I'd just price him up so I stopped having to play him, but it looks like a good play. This is a pretty good matchup going against Dallas. It's supposed to be a competitive game, so I like getting to Harden. John Collins is going to have a good game eventually, so I don't mind just kind of hoping that it's tonight. Pretty decently priced, power forward eligibility, so he's the other one that I have interest in. And then Zoo's he's appropriately priced, but I don't mind getting there, especially if depends who Dallas has available too. If AD's out, I like it more.
Yeah, and I do think AD's out. He's on the injury report as questionable, but we have been getting word like the front office is going to tell him when to play. It's not a matter of whether he's healthy or not now. They're kind of discussing whether they're going to rebuild. Like, there's a bunch of crap going on there, obviously, with the Nico firing. But my gut is he doesn't play. And credit to the guys, he's not even in the model today. And I think that's for good reason. Other than AD, we have PJ Washington listed as questionable. Obviously, no Kyrie. Dante Exum is going to be out as well. I was on stream with Chuck yesterday. Unfortunately, we didn't get the Cooper Flag slate. But I will say this. Now that Brandon Williams is the point guard, and he is a real point guard, even more so than D'Angelo Russell, in my opinion. We've seen Flag kind of unlocked. This is a guy who should always be playing off the ball, slashing into the paint. And he's looked really good lately. I do think where he's priced, there's not a ton of meat on the bone. But if nobody's going to play him, I don't mind mixing him in. He actually rates as the top OF index play on this team. Not that he's really competing with much, but obviously with Kawhi out, this does become a bit better of a matchup in terms of defense. It is the lowest totaled game on the slate, so I'm really not rushing to get here. I will say, though, Brandon Williams, I've been crushing his prop market. 3 straight games over 30 fantasy points. Kid seems to finally trust him to run that point. Like I said, he's my favorite Dallas Maverick here. He is drawing ownership, but I think he's too cheap on both sides. He's going to be a lot of my builds. And then Max Christie has been shooting the ball really well at the two ever since they benched Clay. I think he's pretty useful here as well, where he's priced in nobody's playing him, even though he's coming off 3 great games. I do think Dallas is maybe more appealing on this slate than they have been yet this season. It's Williams, it's Christie for me. Can make a little bit of flag work, I guess. Obviously high on the kid. It's just the price is a bit prohibitive. Smitty, any love for the Mavs here?
Not really. Basically, what you said. I think Brandon Williams is solid. The minutes have been pretty secure, and if you take PJ Washington off the court, he becomes even better. PJ's still questionable, so we don't really know, but I do think Brandon Williams is a pretty good play. If you can afford like the extra 1,400 to get from Cole Anthony to Brandon Williams. It's just a lot better play. So I like Brandon Williams. That's pretty much it. Max Christie, I do think, is a pretty good call. Good eligibility too, so I don't mind that.
Yeah, Christie's been useful, and his price doesn't move. No one wants to play him. Yeah, guys, any other comments? Feel free to get them in. We are through the DK games now. We have one more to talk about on FanDuel, then we will get to dummy builds, answer a few of the general questions that we already have. Last game on the slate now, we have the Warriors taking on the Spurs. Nice tight spread, 233.5 point total. Golden State, no Kuminga. I don't know if he's actually hurt. I think he is, but it seems like the team's pretty fed up with him in general right now. DeAnthony Melton is on the injury report. He is unavailable as well. So with no Kaminga, I'm thinking we're going to see Moses Moody start. One of the first comments on the video today was, yeah, let's manifest 30 Moses Moody points. It's possible. If he's going to start at the three here, I don't mind him as a value piece. At the same time, I think standing next to Curry and Jimmy could hurt his usage and upside. At the same time, again, not a ton of value we like. You can mix him in. Obviously, Curry is valuable. He hasn't really been himself lately. Butler's okay, just a bit overpriced in my opinion. Warriors, man, I wouldn't mind getting to them here. It's just there's not really a play standing out to me. I guess Moody if he starts. Not much else I'm really liking though, Smitty. How about you?
Yeah, I think Moody's fine to get to. I do like Curry on FanDuel. I think he's pretty decent to get to. He has a high ceiling. Last game out against him, I think he put up like 45 real points. So it's an okay spot. He's kind of priced around like Harden. So he's kind of your pivot to Harden if you want to pivot off Harden. But either way, I think Curry's good. That's pretty much it. Like Jimmy's fine if you get there. Everyone else is just kind of GPP plays.
Yeah, just to kind of wrap up the Curry discussion, I know I just said I was down on him. He did have a great game against the Spurs last time out, but he got to the free throw line a ton. He made 15 to 16 free throws. Can he do that here again? Maybe, but I do think that's a bit of an outlier performance. Regardless, I mean, he has upside, so don't want to talk anyone off playing him. Over on the Spurs side of things, Julian Champagne's questionable. Dylan Harper's going to be out for a little while. Other than that, nothing we really need to worry about on San Antonio. Fox has been back. He's been pretty decent. But again, this situation's just kind of tough night to night. You got him, you got Castle, you got Vassell. I think I sound like a broken record saying this every day, but it reminds me of the Celtics guard situation. It's like one of these guys probably hits a ceiling, one probably hits value, one hits a floor. Do you know who it's going to be night to night? I don't. So I mostly try to avoid situations like this. They're all valuable. Obviously, Wemby, though, is the prize if you can afford him. Very expensive, but at the same time, he's been playing really well. Decent match for him. Had nearly 70 fantasy points against these guys last time out. Nobody's owning or nobody's getting to him. So I do like Wemby in tournaments. That's probably it for me. We did get one question about Luke Cornett earlier. If you're desperate for value, I don't mind it. But we do have Diabate. We do have Drummond on this slate, so I don't know how necessary it is. And he's center only, which makes it even more difficult for me. But I do like Wemby. I'm a little bit surprised he's only 3%. I imagine he comes in a bit higher than that, Smitty. Which Spurs are you keying in on?
Yeah, seeing that 3% on Wimby is tough because I do like Giannis quite a bit. I like Luca. But on FanDuel, Wimby scores better than both of them when it comes to steals and blocks. He just scores better for FanDuel. So I'm pretty interested in getting over the field there. Like, even if you play 10% Wimby, you're already ahead of the field. So I do think getting overweight on Wimby is the way I want to approach the slate. As for the rest of San Antonio, it's pretty tough because they're priced up. I think you could take a shot on a Fox or a Castle. Prefer Castle if you can get there, but and then I guess Devin Vassell, he's the one that's priced appropriately, other than Wemby.
Yeah.
So I don't mind taking shots on Devin Vassell.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It definitely has a ceiling. If he gets hot, take a bunch of extra shots. All right, guys. About to get into the dummy builds. First, we have one question here from Luke S. What value guards do we like more than McBride? I mean, McBride's probably one of my favorites. I don't know. I'll sort by value here real quick. Smitty, anyone jumping out to you? I will say Williams and Suggs are others that I'm pretty interested in.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know if
Suggs is my favorite.
yeah, I love the matchup against Brooklyn. And like I said, I think Williams has been tremendous. I think he's a bit underprojected across the industry. So those are probably the three best value guards. You could probably add Davion into that group if you consider him value, where he's around 5,500. But yeah, Smitty, let's go ahead and do the dummy builds real quick here, starting on DK. I don't know. I think Diabate and
Yep.
Drummond are my centers. Are you
Yeah.
with me on that? Okay.
Yeah, I like that. And then
Okay,
probably
cool.
plug in Suggs.
You go Suggs. Do we want McBride or Williams? Or Williams isn't on this. He's only on.
He's on here. Yeah,
Oh, he is.
we could go.
Actually, we could get both. We could go
Yeah, we could do
Williams and then McBride. So we're pretty damn chalky right here. We do have a lot of salary though. I do like Cat. He's going to be chalky.
Yeah,
We could jam Giannis
we could
or
probably go
Luca.
Cat Giannis.
Yeah, let's go Cat and Giannis. Let's see how this works. Can't get Luca. We already used the guard spots. Got to go punting at shooting guard here. Trey here with a question that might be relevant to our build. Thoughts on Franz and Tristan da Silva? I think we love Franz, Trey. I think that's pretty obvious. He's pricey, but looks excellent here. Obviously, with no Paulo. I like Da Silva. Is he safe? No, but I do think he gets some extra run. Can we play him here? No, he's a little bit more expensive. Yeah, he's 4,300, so that's not going to work. Power likes Reed Shepard. I don't mind it, man. That's another good guy to mix in. The stocks have been insane, though. Smitty, any small forwards you like at 3,700? I don't know that I
Not
like
really,
at
no.
all. Yeah, I mean, we got Connect, Batum. Ugh, this is
Yeah, we'd
disgusting.
probably have to rebuild.
Fontecchio's helped me out sometimes this year. Uh, kind of gross. 2 games with 20 fantasy points in a row, though. Last piece in, go ahead, Simone. Honestly, though, guys, we'd probably come down from Cat, upgrade that small forward spot. That's probably the way to go. But for now, let's just go with Simone. Over on FanDuel, what are you thinking? I guess at center, who do you like, Drummond or Diabate over here? Is there someone else?
I like Drummond. Only
Yeah, I think he's
5,200.
safer.
Just
Yeah, that's too cheap.
and then
I kind of
McBride's
like.
even cheaper there.
Yep. Keep throwing names. You're on FanDuel.
Suggs.
Yep.
Trying to think.
Let's go Franz since we
Franz,
didn't get
yeah.
him.
I was just looking at him.
Yeah, I like him here.
Probably still go Cat if we want.
Yeah. Extra usage for him. And he's under 9K. Yeah, I love Cat here.
Bane's only
I'll throw
6,400. God.
who Bane?
Yeah. I know we already have Franz, but
I mean, do we run it back with a net? Probably not. We could go Queen at power forward over here. I do like that.
yeah. What do we have now?
8,200 per man. I mean, we got options. I like Ant.
Yeah, we both like Ant or Harden.
Ant's fine. Let's throw Ant.
Prefer
We'll
Ant.
be lower owned. In 6,900. Jaquez, Bridges, or Powell. Maybe Bridges with Brunson out, but I think any of them are good.
Yeah, I like that.
A good comment from Barry Jones here. We got Shepard and Clifford on DK build. It is Clifford. They're a bit more expensive, Barry. That's the only issue. But yeah, I think Shepard is the better play if both come off the bench. But we did get some coach speak that Clifford could start tonight because he's been playing good defense. If that is the case, I would go to Clifford. Smitty, any last thoughts here, guys? We do have Jayhawk. I'll get to that question in a second. Look, we do have Jayhawk about to jump in the Discord, take you up into lock as more of these lineups come in. Preferred elite pay up today. I think it's easiest to get to Giannis, but I do like Luke at his ownership, Smitty. Which is your favorite of the elite?
Yeah, it's Giannis. But if you consider ownership on FanDuel, I might lean Wemby a little bit.
Yeah, Wemby definitely under owned over on FanDuel. Again, guys, like the video, subscribe. Jayhawk about to go live in the Discord. We're going to have a UFC show for tomorrow. I'm not going to do it live given all the technical difficulties, but that should be up late tonight or early in the morning, so keep an eye out for that. The guys will be back over the weekend with more NBA goodness. Appreciate you all tonight. Let's have some fun and make some money. Take care, everyone.